Hello everyone, this is V Buzzing with V. Welcome to another video. Today's video is a mini series, mini album. So I'm very excited to share this mini album from scrapdivadesigns.com. It is the baby girl mini album. The size is 5.5 by 5.5. This is information. Check her out. I will have her linked below. This is the dies that I'm using for the mini album, and it's a dress, and there is the base in plum, and I will show you the layering piece there in that floral darker color. And I'm not using that cardstock, so I will go over the cardstock that I will be using. I'm using a digital cardstock. Here I'm showing you that I'm using the bow for the collar. Wednesday has a collar on her dress, and I thought that the bow would fit very well for the collar. Here are the stamps that I'm using from CC Designs. Picked them up from Simon Says. I was originally going to do a Princess mini album. I received a DM from Michelle suggesting I do Wednesday, and I already had some stamps coming in the mail, so I thought it was perfect and I loved it. So check her out. I will have her link below. She has an Instagram. So I did prep all of the images using some alcohol markers. I was going to use some watercolors. However, I did one image there, if you can see on the bottom right, that is watercolor, and I just thought that it was just too matte. I needed something that was vibrant, and so I decided to go with alcohol markers. I'm using my Kelly art markers that I picked up when I started my YouTube channel, so I will have that video linked below as well. So I'm so glad I'm back to coloring with alcohol markers, and I'm just loving it. I did pick up this paper from Etsy. It's a digital. I headed on over to Staples, had them print out my digital paper, and I chose the papers that I wanted. So these are the papers that I picked out. This is specialty paper from Michaels that I'm using for the front cover and the back cover. So I want to thank Michelle over at Instagram. She suggested I do a Wednesday mini album. I was originally going to do Princess, and I already had some Wednesday stamps coming in the mail, so I thought it was perfect and such a great idea, and I'm so glad she suggested that. Thank you so much, Michelle. Oh, I will have her link below, you guys. Check her out. Real quick, so the mini album series will showcase the front cover and back cover only for this video. For the inner pages, there'll be several other videos, and you can see step by step on what I do. Here I'm creating the ruffle for the bottom of the dress. So as you can see, I die cut out 3 ruffle pieces, and I snipped off the rest of the dress. So I'm only using the bottom half to create ruffles. Here is the bow that I'm using for a collar. I ended up using the full bow instead of the half bow, so you'll see that later. I'm using the belt as well. I'm using the piece for the bow as the belt buckle, and I'm also going to lift up the sleeves and ruffle them up, and you'll see that in the video very soon here. So just sharing with you all the die cuts that I die cut out and will be using, and how they look with the dies. Here I'm trying to figure out how the pieces will work and making sure that everything looks well, and it's what I want to do because this video is very real life, and I did not prep anything except for coloring my images. Everything is freehand, real life. I'm using the Circle Essentials die to do a background on the Wednesday image here. So that is the digital print that I picked up from Etsy. I'm also using some tulle. This tulle is from Hobby Lobby, and I'm using the tulle for the ruffles, and you'll see that I'm going to sandwich all of that tulle in between each of those ruffles, and I'm going to layer them up here. And I'm using score tape to adhere the ruffle, and then I use hot glue later on. Here I'm doing another layer for the ruffle, and I forgot to mention the measurements for the tulle. So snip off approximately 1 inch by 12 inches if you're able to. If not, then at least keep it of 1 inch width. That's the size that we need for the ruffle. So I glued everything on, and so that's what it looks like. I added 3 layers plus the backing, and so now I'm gonna do the sleeves the same way, except I'm just using less tulle and a smaller piece. Also using score tape to adhere the ruffle to the sleeves. I'm folding layers upon layers to create the ruffle with the tulle, and I like how this one looks, so I decide to adhere it on with some hot glue. And then I'm going to work on the second ruffle for that left sleeve. Here you see me cutting some double-sided adhesive. However, I decided not to use that. I wanted to ruffle up the sleeves, but the tool did that on its own, so I was happy with that. So this is what the sleeve looks like. It's all ruffled up. I just love how it looks like. I flip this over and I show you that I added some ruffle to the back. I thought it needed more ruffle on the bottom. So there's the collar there that I'm going to use. I'm going to die cut it out with the base die of the mini album, and I'm only going to use it for the neck area. I decided to use the bow knot for the collar as well. I thought it looked like a button. Wednesday does have buttons coming from her collar down her shirt, so I just love how it looks. So here I'm showing you that I'm creating some mini album tabs. Scrap Diva Designs does have some mini album tabs available. I will have that linked below. If it's sold out, don't worry, she will restock it. She's always restocking her items, so you just have to keep a tab on that. So here I'm showing you how I do mini album tabs using the pin flags. It's a 12-piece set, and I will have that linked below. So all I do is fold them in half, and I do punch a hole out with my crocodile, and I glue them onto the base. So here I'm using some Heidi Swapp flatbacks, and I'm gluing them down to mimic buttons. I'm also using some bats, and I use the Halloween gumball add-on from scrapdivadesigns.com. It comes with 25 pieces. Here I'm doing some embossing for a sentiment. I'm using some powder from Michaels in the color Snow, and that is the Recollections brand. I also use my anti-static pillow powder, and that is an old one. They come in a bottle now, so yeah, that's from my old stamping days. I'm also doing the sentiment and making a banner. So I do snip off the fishtail here with my scissors, and I also snipped off the excess with my trimmer. So it's all heat embossed, and I like how the contrast of the white on black. I like how it looks. It looks nice and crisp. So I'm showing you a die that I'm using. It's an older die from Scrap Diva Designs. It is called Flowers, and I will have that linked below. I'm using the leaves for it, and I'm also using some flowers for my stash. You can pick up some flowers just like these at Michael's, and they're sticker flowers, and they come in black as well. I'm adhering the sentiment with Barely Arts glue, and I'm also popping up the circle die cut there with some foam adhesive. I'm also popping up Wednesday, the image, with foam adhesive. I'm using hot glue to glue on those leaves. I did double back them so they're nice and sturdy, and then I add my roses there. So I do it for both sides, and I may just add more leaves to her. I just think the leaves look really nice. However, I do not want to cover all of the ruffles, so I'm still contemplating on that, so you might see it in the next video. I'm adding the bats as well, and I did fold those wings up on the bat so they can look like they're in flight. I'm using these rings from Amazon. I chose purple. I didn't have any black. I'd like to use black. However, this is what it looks like. Comes in a pack. This almost concludes the video, you guys. This is the mini album series for the front cover and back cover. Later on, we'll see the rest. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun creating it as well as making the covers. So I will see you guys in the next video.